The autumn gala was supposed to be the social event of the season, an opulent celebration where the galactic elite gathered to display their wealth, forge alliances, and engage in the elaborate dance of high society politics. Princess Rheazora of the Starborn Consortium stood on the grand balcony of the obsidian spire, her emerald gown shimmering under the light of 1,000 floating luminaries, and wished she were anywhere else. "Your Highness, Ambassador Krelnax wishes to discuss trade agreements," her attendant whispered. Rhea suppressed a sigh. Another proposal disguised as political discussion. She was 23 years old, heir to one of the wealthiest systems in known space and apparently everyone's ideal marriage prospect. "Tell the ambassador I'm indisposed," she replied, moving toward the edge of the balcony for a moment of solitude. The explosion came without warning. One moment, music and laughter filled the air. The next, the western wing of the spire erupted in flames. The blast wave knocked Rhea off her feet, sending her crashing against the balcony railing. Screams erupted, guests scattered in panic. Through the smoke and chaos, Rhea saw them, 6 figures in tactical armor moving with military precision through the crowd. Attackers, terrorists, and they were heading straight for the royal section. "Protect the princess," her guards shouted, forming a defensive line. But the attackers had come prepared. Advanced weapons cut through ceremonial armor like paper. Rhea's guards fell one by one, their training no match for professional killers. Rhea ran. She kicked off her impractical heels and sprinted through corridors she'd walked 1,000 times, now filled with smoke and screaming people. Behind her, she heard the heavy footfalls of pursuit. A service corridor. She ducked into it, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The corridor led to the maintenance levels, unfamiliar territory for a princess, but her only chance. She'd made it 3 levels down when a hand grabbed her arm, spinning her around. "Got her," one of the attackers said into his comm. "Northwest Service Shaft Level 7, requesting extraction." Rhea struggled, but his grip was iron. He raised his weapon and was suddenly jerked backward as someone tackled him from behind. The attacker went down hard, his weapon skittering across the floor. Rhea scrambled away, her back hitting the wall as she watched her unlikely savior grapple with the armored assailant. He was human, she could tell from his build and movements. Average height, lean but clearly strong, wearing the simple gray coveralls of maintenance staff. His dark hair was disheveled, his face streaked with ash, but his brown eyes were absolutely focused. The fight was brutal and efficient. The human dodged a punch, drove his elbow into the attacker's throat, then used the man's own momentum to slam him face first into the metal wall. The attacker collapsed, unconscious. "You hurt?" the human asked, breathing hard but steady. His voice carried a slight accent she couldn't place. "No," Rhea managed. "Who are you?" "Maintenance Tech First Class Dylan Torres, and right now I'm your best chance of survival." He grabbed the fallen weapon, checked its charge. "How many are after you?" "I saw 6 initially, maybe more." "Great, and I'm guessing you're worth a lot to someone or they wouldn't be trying this hard." "I'm Princess Rheazora, heir to—" "Right, the princess, that explains the fancy dress and the kill squad." Dylan moved to the corridor junction, scanning for threats. "Can you run in that thing?" Rhea looked down at her elaborate gown, layers of silk and jewels designed for elegance, not escape. "Not well." Without hesitation, Dylan pulled a utility knife from his belt and held it out to her. "Cut it. Knees down. We need mobility more than modesty." Rhea hesitated only a moment before taking the knife and slicing through the expensive fabric. The lower portion of her gown fell away, leaving her in what amounted to a knee-length dress. "Better," Dylan approved. "Now stay close and do exactly what I say. No arguments, no royal protocol, just survival." "Agreed." Something in his tone, absolute confidence without arrogance, made Rhea nod. "Agreed." They moved through the maintenance corridors, Dylan leading with the stolen weapon while Rhea followed close behind. Twice more they encountered attackers. Each time, Dylan dispatched them with terrifying efficiency, a combination of improvised weapons, environmental advantages, and what was clearly extensive combat training. "You're not just a maintenance tech," Rhea observed after he disabled the third attacker using nothing but a section of pipe and precise strikes to nerve clusters. "I am now," Dylan replied, his focus never wavering from their path. "What I was before doesn't matter." They emerged into a sub-basement loading dock, and Rhea's hope surged. Emergency vehicles would be gathering outside. She could see the exit, down. Dylan tackled her behind a storage container just as plasma fire tore through the space where they'd been standing. 3 more attackers positioned at the exit, trapped. "Okay, new plan," Dylan muttered, scanning their surroundings. His eyes landed on an industrial loader, a massive machine used for moving cargo containers. "Can you drive?" "I've piloted a racing yacht," Rhea said. "How different can it be?" "Very, but we're out of options." Dylan pointed to the loader. "I'm going to draw their fire. When I do, you get to that machine, start it up, and be ready to move. Fast." "What are you going to do?" Dylan's smile was grim. "Something really stupid that will probably get me killed, but if it works, we both live. If it doesn't..." He pulled something from his pocket, a maintenance access card. "This has my security clearance. Use it to access the emergency bunker on sub-level 12. You'll be safe there until help arrives." "I'm not leaving you two. You're the princess. Your life is worth more than mine. That's just math." He met her eyes, and she saw absolute resolve there. "Promise me, if I don't make it, you get to that bunker, you survive." "Dylan, promise me." "I promise," Rhea whispered, her throat tight. "Good, now get ready to run." Dylan took a deep breath, then burst from cover. What happened next would be seared into Rhea's memory forever. Dylan moved like water, fluid, unpredictable, impossible to pin down. He used every piece of cover, every environmental hazard. He triggered a fuel leak that forced 2 attackers to relocate. He collapsed a scaffold onto the third. He made 3 armed, trained killers look like amateurs trying to catch smoke. And he gave Rhea exactly the opening she needed. She sprinted to the loader, Dylan's access card, activating the systems. The machine roared to life just as Dylan went down, caught by plasma fire to his left leg. He collapsed, his weapon falling from his grip. The remaining attacker moved in for the kill. Rhea didn't think. She grabbed the loader's controls and drove the massive machine straight at the attacker. 5 tons of industrial equipment caught him mid-stride, slamming him into the wall with bone-crushing force. Then she was out of the loader, running to Dylan, helping him up despite his protests. "I told you to leave me," he gasped, his face pale with pain. "And I told you I promised." "I didn't promise to leave you behind. I promised to survive." Rhea got his arm over her shoulder, taking his weight. "Now shut up and let me save you for a change." They made it to the bunker, barely. Security forces found them there 20 minutes later, Rhea applying pressure to Dylan's wound with strips of her ruined gown while he faded in and out of consciousness. "Stay with me," she kept saying. You don't get to save my life and then die. That's not how this works. Stay with me, Dylan Tors. That's an order from your princess. He laughed weakly. Never. Good at following. Orders. But he stayed, held on until the medics arrived and took over. 3 weeks later, Rhea stood outside a private medical suite in the palace, gathering her courage. Dylan had survived. The doctors had saved his leg, though he'd walk with a limp for the rest of his life. He'd been offered honors, rewards, a position in the royal guard. He'd refused them all and asked only to return to his maintenance duties. He won't see anyone, the nurse told her apologetically. Not even to accept his commendation. He says he just wants to be left alone. He'll see me, Rhea said with more confidence than she felt. She entered without knocking. Dylan sat by the window, his leg in a brace, staring at the gardens below. He didn't turn when she entered. I told them I didn't want visitors, he said quietly. And I told my security detail I was visiting a patient. Technically true. Rhea moved to stand beside him. You've been avoiding me. You're the princess, I'm maintenance staff. There's nothing to avoid because there's nothing between us that requires contact. You saved my life. I did my duty. Any decent person would have done the same. No, Rhea said firmly. Any decent person would have run, called for help, or frozen in panic. You fought 6 trained killers with improvised weapons and a maintenance tech's knowledge of the building systems. You nearly died protecting someone you didn't know. My background is complicated. I have skills that don't match my current occupation. That doesn't make me special. Rhea studied his profile, the tight jaw, the carefully neutral expression. You're running from something or someone. Dylan's hands clenched. That's not your concern, Your Highness. It is when the man who saved my life won't accept gratitude, honor, or even basic acknowledgement of what he did. Rhea sat in the chair across from him, forcing him to look at her. I made you a promise in that loading dock, Dylan. I promised I'd survive, but you made me a promise too, even if you didn't realize it. I didn't promise you anything. You promised you'd do something stupid to save my life, and you did, and now you're trying to disappear like it never happened. Rhea leaned forward. I can't forget what you did. I can't forget the man who stood between me and death without hesitation. So what do you want me to do? Pretend it never happened? Move on like you're just another nameless face? Dylan was quiet for a long moment. I was Special Operations, Terran Defense Coalition, did things I'm not proud of under orders I shouldn't have followed. When my contract ended, I wanted peace, anonymity, a simple life where no one knew what I was or what I'd done. And then you saved a princess. And now that anonymity is gone. He met her eyes finally, and she saw pain there. Every honor, every reward, every public recognition puts a spotlight on me, makes me findable to people I'd rather never see again. Understanding dawned. You're hiding. I was until you needed saving. Rhea was quiet, processing this. Then, what if I could offer you something different? Not public honors or ceremonies, but a position that keeps you close while maintaining your privacy. Personal security, but as part of my private household staff. No press announcements, no public recognition, just a job that uses your skills while keeping you under the radar. Why would you do that? Because I made a promise to survive and I keep my promises, but also because... Rhea hesitated, then pressed on. Because I can't forget you, Dylan Tors. I've tried. I've told myself it was just gratitude, just the aftermath of trauma. But every time I close my eyes, I see you standing between me and death. I hear your voice telling me to run. I remember how you smiled even though you thought you were going to die. Your Highness. Rhea, when we're alone, call me Rhea. Rhea, Dylan said softly, testing the name. You're a princess. I'm a maintenance tech with a complicated past. This can't. One rescue, one promise, Rhea interrupted. That's what we have. You rescued me. I promised to survive. And now I'm asking you to let me keep that promise by staying alive in a world that's suddenly much more dangerous than I realized. I need someone I can trust absolutely. Someone who's already proven they'll die before they let anyone hurt me. You barely know me. I know everything that matters. I know you're brave, selfless, skilled enough to fight off trained killers. And I know you're running from a past that haunts you. She reached out, taking his hand. Let me offer you sanctuary. A place to hide in plain sight. And maybe friendship if you'll allow it. Dylan looked at their joined hands, then at her face. You really can't forget me. Not for a single moment since that night. This is a terrible idea, he said, but his hand didn't pull away from hers. Probably, Rhea agreed. But I seem to be making a habit of those lately. What do you say, Dylan? Will you accept the position? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. On one condition. If your father objects, if the court makes your life difficult because of me, I walk away, no arguments. Deal. And one more thing. Dylan's expression softened slightly. Thank you for coming back for me, for not leaving me in that loading dock. You saved me first, it was only fair. That's not how heroism works, you're Rhea. Maybe not, but it's how friendship works. She smiled. And I think we could both use a friend who understands what that night meant. Dylan squeezed her hand gently. I think you might be right. As she left his room, Rhea reflected on the strange turn her life had taken. One rescue, one promise, and now a connection to a mysterious man who'd appeared in her darkest moment and refused to let her die. She couldn't forget him, didn't want to forget him. And something told her this was just the beginning.